Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome to another edition of Inside Arsenal. It is Wednesday, which can only mean one thing. Of course, it is match day. The Champions League returns tonight at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal versus Sevilla. Arsenal with a chance, depending if results go their way elsewhere, to seal their spot in the knockout rounds with 2 games remaining of the group stage. Big opportunity then awaits in North London tonight. I will be there. Looking forward to that. If you're going as well, I hope you enjoy the game. If you see me, come and say hello. And yeah, create a decent atmosphere. Hopefully going to be a big game in North London later tonight. Got lots to talk about. Mikel Arteta's been speaking about the game. We'll talk about the latest team news, look at who could well start, do my predicted 11. You guys have sent in some of your comments as well about who should potentially start. Got some news about Gabriel Jesus as well. So let's get cracking, shall we? Of course, the big thing to talk about is, of course, the match. And when you look at this, if you're watching it on YouTube, you can see the group there. Arsenal sitting top of Group B, 6 points from their first 3 games. Lens 1 point behind them on 5. Then it's Sevilla and PSV both on 2 points. So if Arsenal win tonight, beat Sevilla tonight, and if Lens win against PSV, then Arsenal have sealed their spot in the knockout rounds because they'll be on 9 points and Sevilla and PSV will both still be on 2 with just 2 games remaining, so they won't be able to catch them. And then it will be all about that game against Arsenal and Lens, which is coming up next. And if Arsenal win that, they will go through as group winners with 1 game to go. If PSV get a point tonight against Lens and Arsenal win, then Arsenal haven't qualified. Technically they have, but because it goes on head-to-head, there's still a chance, obviously, that PSV could beat Arsenal 5-0 in the game in Holland, or by 5 goals in the game in Holland, so they would then go through. So mathematically, it wouldn't be done if if PSV get a point tonight, but realistically, it would be done as well. Mikel Arteta speaking about it, has basically urged his players to, grab the opportunity that is ahead of them tonight, get qualification secured, and then sort of be able to focus on other matters. He says, the moment you have a chance in football to put it to bed, do it. We have to do a lot of things right to earn the right to win it against a really good team with enormous experience in this competition. We have to prove tomorrow in front of our people how excited we are to play the game and what it means to us. So a bit of a message there from Mikel Arteta to his players. Now, who is going to be playing today? That is the big talking point, I suppose you could say. The team news for Arsenal is a bit worrying. The injuries are certainly beginning to bite. Martin Odegaard not expected to feature. Eddie Nketiah faces a late fitness test today. He didn't train yesterday, of course. If you watch my video from the training ground after the press conference, he wasn't joining in that training session. He got a knock against Newcastle. He got injured in the second half, got a bit of a kick, went off, was substituted, and hasn't been training since. So you would suggest it's unlikely he is going to play. What we were told yesterday is that there is going to be a late sort of decision made on him today. So not totally ruled out, but I think it's pretty unlikely. So if that is the case, who else will play today? Who could play in his place? I mean, looking at the other injured players, of course, no Gabriel Jesus, no Thomas Partey, no Emil Smith-Rowe. So plenty of injuries for Arsenal. Sevilla as well, facing a few injuries themselves by all accounts. It doesn't sound like Sergio Ramos is going to play. So yeah, not just Arsenal with some injury issues, but certainly Sevilla as well. And it does, but when you look at, certainly without Eddie Nketiah, I think it's a really interesting one in case of who plays as that central striker tonight if Nketiah and Jesus aren't there. Personally, I think I would go for Leandro Trossard. I know Kai Havertz is certainly an option. You could potentially play Gabriel Martinelli through as the central striker, but I just think Trossard is probably the most sensible option of the lot because of the midfield issues Arsenal have, because there's no Odegaard. I think Havertz will probably play in midfield, and that will mean Trossard up front. We saw last season in that run in the second half of the season when Jesus was out, when Trossard had come in from Brighton and got ahead of Nketiah in the pecking order. We saw that front three of Trossard, Saka and Martinelli, played very, very well together, scored goals, Arsenal won games, and it looked pretty fluent. So, I'd have no problems with that tonight being the front three for Arsenal. It would be the choice that I would go for. I can see the argument for playing Havertz there, and I think if I got it here, no, it's my predicted 11. I do have a couple of comments from you guys I just wanted to bring in before I move on. And they are here. There's one from Dark and Bright. It says Martinelli, Saka, and Trossard up front. The problem is creating big chances in game, playing double pivot, and allowing Vieira to play as 10 might work. Then goes on to say Lukonga, Vieira, Havertz offer nothing. And when we have injuries, they don't deliver. So depth we're talking about, it's just delusion. We are weaker than last season. Not sure about that, but and Wild Child says I'd like to see Havertz as a false nine and Trossard in Odegaard's spot in the team. So difference of opinions there from people. And I've seen other of you got in touch with me and said let's play Martinelli as a central striker. Trossard is the kind of left eight, or not left eight, sorry, as potentially as a right eight. Is an interesting one because he has played there and played there pretty well before. He plays in that sort of deeper role for Belgium at times, but we saw him in pre-season. I think it was against Barcelona, wasn't it, in pre-season? He played there, and I thought he played very, very well. He's such a clever player, Trossard. He can play in a multitude of positions because of how clever he is, because of his technique. And so, yeah, it is definitely an option, but I just think up front, that's where I've seen him play very, very well at times. He offers Arsenal an awful lot. His creativity, he can set goals up, he can score goals. His finishing is very, very good when he gets in good positions. So personally, that would be my choice. I think I've done my predicted 11, which is here. This is what I think Mikel might well go for tonight. Go on Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Zinchenko. It could easily be Tomiyasu on either of those sides, potentially giving Ben White the night off. He could play at right back. He could play at left back again with Zinchenko out. Zinchenko, people have also been saying, and I agree with this, but I don't think we'll see it just because we've not seen it yet from Mikel Arteta. You could easily play Declan Rice as a 6 and have Zinchenko in the midfield role alongside Havertz, but that's what I've gone for today. So midfield of Jorginho, Havertz and Rice, and then Saka, Martinelli and Trossard. So that's my predicted 11. Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Jorginho, Havertz, Rice, Saka, Martinelli and Trossard. Certainly, as you can see there, when you look at it, there is a lot of big, big players missing for Arsenal. Not going to be easy tonight against very seasoned European campaigners. Sevilla know they need to get something from this game, so they're going to be very, very up for it. And Arsenal are going to have to work very hard to get this win. And when you look at the side, you do worry about the creative side of things going into this game. Are Arsenal going to be able to prize Sevilla open? You go back to the game in Spain and it was all about Gabriel Jesus. He was the difference maker, the brilliant assist for Martinelli's goal, the brilliant goal himself to make it 2-0. And he's not available tonight. And there's no Odegaard as well doing what he does. And we all know there's no Thomas Partey as well doing what he does in the deeper line sort of playmaker role that Arsenal have. So creativity is going to be an issue. I think it's going to be an issue for a while because we're just not any closer to seeing when Martin Odegaard is going to come back. I don't think he's going to be available today. It has not been totally ruled out today, but from what I understand, I'm not sure he's going to be available for this one. The Norway manager was speaking yesterday after announcing the Norway squad. Odegaard was in that, but the Norway manager was saying that he is worried about Odegaard's fitness and he doubts he will be available. He's been named in the squad, but obviously there's going to be talks going on with Arsenal before a final decision is made as to whether he goes out there. I'd be very, very surprised if he does. It wouldn't make much sense to me, and it's very, very similar with what's going on with Gabriel Jesus at the moment, who has been named in the Brazil squad, even though he hasn't played for Arsenal. He's not fit for tonight. He's not going to play tonight. I can't see he's going to be involved against Burnley. There's going to be talks between Arsenal and Brazil later on. I don't know if you saw it, but the Brazil manager was speaking yesterday and was asked, why is Jesus in the squad? And Fernando Diniz said, because of this too, we're going to bring Gabby to find out his real condition because we still have 15 days to go until the game. So we believe he could be fit enough to play. I like him a lot. He's also mentioned there that the reason they're doing that is because last time, in the last international break, they left out Gabriel Martinelli because they thought he was injured. And then just before the international break, Martinelli came back and scored the winner against Manchester City. And it sounds like that annoyed Diniz a little bit. And that is why they've made this decision with Jesus. I mean, it's very public comments. From what I hear, there's going to be talks later on in the week between Arsenal and Brazil. I still don't think Jesus will go. I can't see it happening, especially if he doesn't play before the international break. And he's not going to play tonight. And I can't imagine he's going to play against Burnley. So I think a decision will be made. There'll be talks held between the pair. You've got Edu as well, of course, who's going to smooth things over, you would think, with Brazil. And, hopefully a sensible decision is made and Gabriel Jesus stays with Arsenal because it makes very, very little sense for him to go all the way over to Brazil for these games just to sort of have his fitness checked. and then basically fly all the way back. It's just like, what is the point in that? It's just going to do absolutely no one any good. It's certainly not going to do Gabriel Jesus any good for his injury. And Arsenal is so important for Arsenal. We know he is. And they've got to get him back fit, and they've got to get him back fit as soon as possible. So flying him halfway around the world just for a fitness check, just, come on. There's got to be a more sensible decision made than that. So fingers crossed those talks that will happen later on in the week will come. Come to a successful conclusion from an Arsenal point of view. Just on Arteta and the ongoing controversy, whatever fallout, whatever you want to call it, from Saturday in the game against Newcastle and his comments about VAR and the referees and the officials. Of course, we all heard what he had to say yesterday in that press conference, and I said in the videos I recorded after the presser yesterday. I thought Arteta spoke really, really well on it. I thought he made some really good points. He was clear, he was calm, but the FA have now written to Arsenal and to Mikel Arteta to ask for their observations about what happened on Saturday and what he had to say. It always makes me laugh, that sort of phrasing of that, to ask for their observations. So and they've contacted Arsenal because of about the statement they released, and they've contacted Arteta, of course, because of about the comments immediately post-match in the media. Now, they can't actually, he didn't, in his comments, when you look at it and you look at what he had to say, he didn't imply bias or anything like that. So he wasn't questioning the officials in terms of, how they were refereeing the game. There was no suggestion of anything like that. But there is a rule, I think, that if there's sort of excessive comments made, if it's a prolonged sort of attack in the media, and unnecessary, something like that. That's the kind of phrasing in the FA rules, that they can then take action if they want against that manager. So I'd suggest if they do decide to take action against Arteta, whether it be in the form of a fine, a ban, or just reminding him of the responsibilities, that would be the kind of rule that they would be looking at now as the one that they can get him on. Because, like I said, he wasn't questioning the integrity of the referee or anything like that. It was just because it was a sort of prolonged attack in media interviews rather than just like one throwaway comment about a decision, something like that. So Arsenal and Arteta have got 3 days to respond. They received their communication from the FA yesterday. So by the end of the week, Arsenal and Arteta are going to have to respond, and then the FA have 3 days to respond after that before issuing a charge or any sort of action that they're going to take. So remains to be seen if Arteta get punished for what happened against Newcastle. So that's ongoing. All right, that's it from me. Bit of a short, sharp one today before tonight's game. I hope you all enjoy it. If you're going, create a really good atmosphere. It's horrible out there at the moment, wet, windy. But hopefully that's not going to affect things too much in the match day later on this evening. Or if you're watching it anywhere else around the world, then enjoy the game. I'll be back tomorrow to discuss, hopefully, what is a very successful Arsenal victory in the Champions League. We'll look at all the reaction to that game and the big talking points from it in tomorrow's show. Until then, everyone, have a very good day. I'll speak to you soon.